Hey guys, welcome to Someone Who Doesn't Read Comics, where we, to the contrary, read and review comics. I'm Becca.
I'm Paul.
And I might be Brian.
Might be Brian. Might change someday.
Hasn't yet.
Not yet. Still Brian.
Still Brian.
Probably, unfortunately.
Still Brian.
Yep. So this week on the podcast, we are reading a very well-known comic, Blackest Night. It's a Green Lantern comic. Yeah. I'm actually really excited. I heard about this comic. It's very popular. Yep. So, like usual, the podcast will go story, art, and then a spoiler section. We'll let you know when the spoilers happen, so if you haven't read the book, and it's worth a read, you can go read the book and then read about the spoilers. So, to start off, we'll go with the story, Paul.
Alright. Story it is. I love the segues into that. Always works so well. Okay. So, the story of Blackest Night is basically what would happen if you had a zombie apocalypse scenario in the DC universe. Because, you know, comic books, a lot of people die, despite the heroes being known for saving people. A lot of people die. And that's really the focus of this book, is the repercussions of all this death and destruction. So, the story basically starts off where you have Hal Jordan, the Green Lantern, and Barry Allen, the Flash, who are two characters who, over the course of their comic history, I should mention this is a pre-New 52 reboot, so they dwell a lot in, delve deeply into a lot of the DC backstory, which I didn't know a lot of it. Yes. But apparently, both Barry Allen and Hal Jordan have been dead at one point or time, and are now back amongst the living, because comics, and they're remembering all those. It's a day of remembrance for heroes and people who have died.
In particular, Batman is the main person who died.
That has the
recently, I guess.
Yeah, the most recent of the heroes.
He was shot by Omega beams, I believe, from
Darkseid.
Yes, and he disintegrated.
But yes, so Batman gets disintegrated by Darkseid. Looks like the Martian Manhunter had been murdered. So Aquaman is dead. Like, a lot of big heroes at the start of this comic have died. So it starts off, and the focus is a villain known as Black Hand.
Although, I don't think you're... Do you get his name in the beginning?
My Black Hand, the dead shall rise.
I guess so. I didn't know who he was, personally. I went through the whole thing not knowing
totally
who
told you who it was.
I thought
it was a chant, like that was by my Black Hand, because it's like Black Power Ring, so I was like, oh, okay, I'll just do that.
Yeah,
So, yeah, I didn't know. Personally.
The comic does say his name is William.
Yep.
So, I'll refer to him as William, I guess?
No, you can do Black Hand.
So,
I'm
William,
just saying, personally, I didn't know.
So, William... So William
loses
goes
a little bit of its luster,
right? I guess that's why you have all those code names. Basically, everyone's always making fun of. Oh, why are you called? Because you're just going around. Hey, I am Bill, the magnetic powered.
I am Bill from accounting.
Yeah,
I will save you money.
Wow, we've gotten really off track so fast. But it is tax season, so I mean,
it's the first 2 pages in.
It's a good reminder to.
So Black Hand does the thing.
Oh yeah, okay. So, Black Hand goes to Bruce Wayne's grave and creepily digs up his body and takes Bruce Wayne's skull. We learn that this is somehow connected to in Sector 666, deep in outer space, there's a Black Lantern power battery, which is kind of like it's like the Green Lantern's power battery, but comes in a variety of colors. This one happens to be black. And so from here, a whole bunch of these black power rings fly out into space, and you don't know right away what's happening. It's like, oh, they want flesh though, which adds, what I'm saying to the zombie thing, very much like a zombie thing. The rings are craving flesh. Meanwhile, then the rest of the first part of the comic is just a lot of different characters introducing character setup of people visiting the graves of their loved ones who are happen to be heroes, like Mira, Aquaman's wife, is visiting his grave. One of the best scenes is a bunch of the Flash's rogues come together. They have like a secret cemetery for those who died fighting the Flash and other heroes. And so it's a whole lot of remembrance and respect, which is completely shattered by the arrival of the black rings coming through space. And they start to actually come back. There's a lot of, so I'm flipping through here. There's a lot of
stuff. I mean,
it's a lot of character building, a lot of just setting up. Yeah,
there's a lot of character to set up, because you get into, like, you see Hawkman, you see Atom, you see, I mean, obviously Flash and Green Lantern are the main characters, but you see a lot of people. You see Superman mourning, you see Kid Flash, and everybody's out mourning, you see all these characters, so you do get a build-up of character and who you're going to see throughout this.
Definitely sets the tone that this is going to be something dealing a lot with death, and things are not going to end well. Which...
yeah, and also, I guess, large, because right now I think the Green Lanterns and all of the Lanterns, so the Blue Lanterns and everybody else, are at war with each other, spanning most of the universe.
Yes, which is just kind of referenced, actually, by the Guardians, right?
Slowly.
The Guardians of the Universe, who gave the Green Lanterns their power, are mentioning that there's like a war of light going on where the different color spectrums are fighting with one another. So yeah. While that's going on, though, the Black Lanterns the Black Lantern rings come to Earth and and Mars specifically here. And they just say the different names. Again, though, I will say this does help get to know the characters. And the rings find the corpses of heroes like John Jones of Mars, Ronnie Raymond of Earth. I think Ronnie Raymond was Firestorm, or at least part of Firestorm.
He was half of Firestorm.
Yeah, half of Firestorm. So they had that little meshing thing. And the Green Lantern suddenly realized in space, oh, geez, there's a bunch of space zombies. That's really what...
Yeah, basically.
I'm holding up the comic to show Brian and Becca, but if you
can't see.
You can't see anything. Like I'm waving, like I'm showing like a classroom of students. But
visual jokes on an audio podcast.
I know. I'm sorry. Well, it's a really cool 2-page splash. Let's try that again. Really cool
2-page splash.
Thank you.
Yes.
That has all these zombified heroes and villains and
they're all aliens. I mean, because obviously the Earth ones haven't risen yet, so these are all alien ones. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's neaty. You know, there's a squirrel too.
Some of them don't even have fingers. Not even sure how they got the ring on.
Right? I'm not totally sure.
One of them looks like a fly.
Yeah. There's a fly and a squirrel and so many interesting things. So, okay. So, at this point, you know, the Black Lantern rings are starting to reanimate the dead. Everything's going crazy, but the heroes of Earth don't know yet. So we cut back to Hawkgirl and Hawkman, who...
arguing.
Yeah, they're having an argument, but apparently they've got this reanimation cycle where the two of them are destined to find each other, fall in love, and then at the height of their love, die, and then get reincarnated and do the whole thing again, which is just insanely depressing. In a book of depressing things, like that's like, oh, that's really depressing. And so just when they're talking through their emotions, they have a page where you see in black text, rage written above Hawkman, and there's love written by Hawkgirl. And they're having this conversation, they're starting to reconcile, and she's about to say, I love you, and then she gets brutally murdered from off screen, which it's like, oh, should have paid more attention when you were saying they have a tragic love story. Maybe saying I love you wasn't the best idea in the midst of, intergalactic crisis. Though, to be fair, they didn't know. But, anyway, and that's when the first of the undead heroes of Earth show up, where you've got Elongated Man and I believe his girlfriend and or wife? Sue, yeah. Who were apparently close with Hawkman and Hawkgirl, as well as the Atom. And it's their reanimated corpses actually killed Hawkgirl, which is...
yeah, basically it's the dead killing off people to create more dead to create more people. Yay.
That whole zombie growth formula. Yep. Only what's cool is that these actually talk.
Yeah.
Which is an interesting thing.
I think they establish here, or at sometime soon, that they're not quite them, but the power rings are taking over them and reading their memories, so it's not quite them, but they're still fully... They have thought, they can do stuff correctly, it's not just shambling, whatever, they are completely intelligent.
Yeah, and they can reference past events to emotionally damage and trick other people. Which we'll discuss more, I guess that'll be a spoiler section.
I don't know. I think they established that before.
Okay.
We'll get to it.
We'll get into that a little bit later. Yeah. But so then what you have here is now, as the dead start to rise, and they're all getting all the heroes around the world are getting attacked, you've got little bands coming together to try and stop them. So you have the Atom teams up with Green Lantern and the Flash, while you have Aquaman's corpse ends up fighting Mira. And Mira's just saying, I don't know a lot about Mira, but she kind of comes across as a badass. Like, she just straight up tridents people. Like, a lot.
Yeah, a lot.
In the chest.
I mean, she survived. I mean, all of the other Atlanteans get taken down, and she survives and runs away.
Yeah.
And figures out, because this is where Mira figures out that they run on people's emotions. Because she figures out that, all the emotions that everybody else is feeling, so she just stops feeling emotion. She's like, oh, I can hide if I don't feel emotion, and she runs away. I was like, oh, that was a pretty good call there, Mira.
Yeah, I was gonna say, that's a good decision. I don't know if I'd be able to do that. Like,
I'd be scared.
At least. And I'm like, oh, I would have to ask, I mean, the book clarifies that counts, but I'd be like, oh man, like, I just won't hate people. No? Darn it. Ugh. And it's confusion and emotion, because I feel like I'd be confused a lot, too.
I feel like that would go along with fear, right?
I guess, yeah, that'd be like a shock.
I don't know. Confusion's not fear.
Is it emotion? Can you, like, emotionally be confused? I'm sorry, these are the questions, which are irrelevant to the matter at hand, so I will go back to it. So then, the rest of it is basically, it's slowly a setup where they start learning more and more about the Black Lanterns that are here. Like, they seem to be part of, like, a collective hive mind, and they seem to be recruiting numbers and gaining energy, but no one's quite sure for what. And so, you lead up to, some really, we'll discuss when we get to the art, but some really awesome fight scenes that take place. I guess the last major characters that are introduced in the first part of the book, before we get into spoilers, is the new Firestorm, which is composed of...
There are two kids. I can't...
one of them is named Jason, don't know last name, and Jen?
Yes, Jen.
But with a G.
Yeah, she has like a full name that's something else, but Jen is her nickname.
Which, again, I don't know a lot about Firestorm, so...
I know Firestorm... Personally, I know Firestorm was Ronnie Raymond and his professor, which everybody's visiting graves, the professor's visiting Ronnie Raymond's grave, so he's mentoring now those two kids who are now Firestorm, so it's a weird, but yeah, no. So basically Firestorm just gets his powers by fusing into one person. Mm-hmm. So, yeah.
Which is pretty cool. The floating head was a little bit off-putting at first, though, because that's the... I'm sure,
you get, like, two people in one person's body, so you get, like, the floating head of the second person. There's only one person.
Yeah.
After they fuse.
Which is cool.
But,
head on fire. Which, awesome. This is also about where, the Flash realizes that you can't just take the rings off of them, because, honestly, that was one of the things that when you think of zombies are always falling apart. I was like, oh, can you take the ring from them? I mean... We discussed earlier, one of those aliens might be a squirrel. I'm pretty sure you can
just
take the ring from the squirrel. That's how I'd do it. Anyway, so you find out you can't, because they're all connected and fused. So, as the groups come together, Mira meets up with Firestorm, and you got some, Green Lantern, Flash. Everyone starts to come together, and they're starting to share the information that they've learned about how the dead have risen. While standing in a place, they think the Justice League headquarters in Washington, D.C., where they have a bunch of dead villains in the basement, which, to me, I wouldn't have that conversation there, but I can see why it's, safe. I'm sorry. I am projecting when we've clearly already established I would be dead due to emotional trauma. So, you do you, superheroes. But as the Black Lanterns find them in the, inevitably in the Justice League headquarters, there's the arrival of the Indigo tribe, which are one of the color spectrums. And they come in, and the Indigo tribe actually knows... They never really explain how, I guess just that they are the element, they are compassion.
Yeah, they're compassion. They were said to be the more, they established that they're the more mysterious, and I presume not quite in the war or anything. Like, they seem to be the, all-knowing... better lanterns, but at the same time, not really, because apparently the Green Lanterns are the best. I don't know. It doesn't make sense. But they're apparently much smarter and much wiser, it seems, than the rest of the lanterns, and obviously know a lot more.
Yeah, at least when it comes to the the Blackest Night, which is apparently a prophecy. So, which is okay. So the Indigo tribe comes down and they say, "Hey, basically, there's this battle between light and darkness that started with basically when light first entered the universe, and so the only way to take down the Black Lanterns would be if the different lights team up and recreate."
The original
white light. So you need all the spectrums of color to come together, which I like that a lot.
Yeah.
Like, that's a cool idea.
The rings are based on Roy G. Biv, the rainbow, so.
Yeah, you got a red rage, the indigo compassion,
Violet's
violet love, green is will, yellow is fear, red is
rage.
I said that already. Should have done this in Roy
Yellow.
G. Biv. Orange, greed. There you go.
Orange
I
is greed.
should have just done. We just said Roy G. Biv, and I'm here like, let me just arbitrarily pick colors. There's no way I'll repeat them. I got this.
And apparently black, death, white life, so.
Yeah.
Yay.
So, there you go. A little bit of throw that into your science class if you want to.
Oh, Blue Hope. Did we do
No,
Blue?
did not do Blue
Nope,
Hope.
you missed it.
Dag nabbit.
Yep.
Roy G. Biv. Well, that was in the Biv part. We skipped it. Well, Indigo and Violet, I thought I hit all the blue areas.
Yeah.
Push.
Well, yeah, basically, the Indigo tribe comes in. They speak different languages, which is kind of cool, but they just basically tell Hal Jordan, they're like, you can take out the individual zombies with green plus another power, but to take out the main power battery, you need to add all the colors together to make white. Which was a cool concept. And, yeah, it's cool. So that's the storyline, basically, so far.
Yeah, that's the, I think, pre-spoiler, because then things start going nuts.
Yeah.
Like,
it's an event, and like most events, like Age of Ultron or anything else, well, maybe not Age of Ultron, Infinity Gauntlet would be a better example. Things just escalate and continue escalating.
completely.
This one's well written though. I do like, it's well done. And I personally, I'm usually pretty tired of zombie stuff. This was done very well where it's hard to even classify it in zombie.
Yeah, they're not quite zombies. They're zombie-ish.
Yeah, well, it's superhero zombies. I like that they talk. Having them talk and use their because as they discover, they feel. I guess I can say this now that it's been established. Is that they see based on emotion. So having them talk just to get under people's skin, so that they can see them and track them down based on the different colors.
Emotions, yeah. Cause like Aquaman's constantly like, Mira, you're my wife. Why did you leave me? What do you do? Like he's constantly like just talking to her and being like, yo, be emotional. Yo.
Yeah,
Mom, you let me die.
Mom, wife? Aquaman's wife?
No, they're, Aqualad.
Oh, Aqualad.
Yeah.
Well, yes.
Which is that whole thing.
Well, Aqualad had like a triple threat, cause he had that and then like 2 wives.
Oh, his girlfriend.
He had 2 girlfriends.
Right. There was also some sea witch, which I didn't know.
I have no idea.
Again, if you know a lot about the different characters and their history, I'm sure that there's a lot more in here than what I'm picking up on.
Yeah, the book's good. It's just there's a lot. Like anytime the rings were like, the rings would constantly say like, like Batman, it would say Bruce Man, Bruce Man,
Bruce Man. Bruce Man, get over here.
It'd be like Bruce Wayne Rise, but there was so like Ronnie Raymond and all these other names. Like I didn't know who Elongated Man was until they mentioned it in the book, and that was one of the first names was I forget what his name was.
Darn it!
It's probably like Paul or something. I don't know.
I'm Paul.
You are Paul.
Oh.
It was
it goes by everybody's first names, and so does the Justice League Dead People archive apparently. So you have to know who the guys are, I guess.
Yeah. So there's a lot of name throwing where it's just, here's names, here's stuff, hope you get it. So like, you can still go through the book without knowing everybody, but at the same time, I feel like it would definitely give you a lot more feeling.
Ralph
Dibny.
Dibny.
Ralph and Sue. So the elongated man and his wife.
Yeah.
But no, it was just one of those things, like, if you don't know the names, you don't get it right away, but they do explain what you need to know. It's just, I feel like I would be hit harder with some of the stuff if I knew all the names and knew everybody that was going on.
Yeah, this is definitely probably would have been a really, like, emotionally, for the reader, event, because they bring up a lot of people, especially, who have died. Some of them are, like, really long, like, haven't been in a lot of recent stuff. Like, I didn't even know, like,
yeah, a lot of, like,
so it's just like,
I love Dead Man.
Oh,
Because Dead Man is dead, and it's his ghost. So then he basically he's like sitting above his grave, going, "No, you can't do this," and his body gets brought back. So I guess he becomes part of his body again. It's so weird. I was like, that's so crazy. But yeah, so like Dead Man was alive again, so he died. I don't know how. It was so cool. I liked it.
It was an interesting thing. Yeah.
I didn't even think about it until they were like Dead Man. And I was like, oh.
Yeah, and they do show there's a couple weaknesses of the Black Lantern ring. In addition to the individual for lack of a better term, zombies being killed by two Lantern Corps coming together. There were those who were at peace.
There was one person who was at peace.
Mm-hmm.
It was because I had to look. I looked this up. I'm cheating. But Hawk and Dove. Dove was originally Hawk's brother. Hawk and Dove were order and chaos. Hawk being chaos, Dove being order. Dove died originally, so that's Dove, and it's saying he's at peace because he was the embodiment of order. So I guess it took it as that you couldn't have chaos happen to him at all, including being brought back from the dead. And then the now Dove is a female who was working with Hawk, and she yet again could not be affected by the Lantern Rings. I thought it was really cool. That whole order chaos thing, and then death and life in that order too. Yep, cool.
Yep.
Yet again.
Yep.
If you know things, it's kind of cool. It's really interesting to see. But then if you don't, you might have to look up some things. I still like the story, but it's just a harsh read if you don't know everything. Yep.
All right.
Good story.
Should we move on to art?
I rambled enough for stories. Yeah, let's move on to art. I feel there were just lots of things happening, and I'm just like, well.
Yeah. Oh, speaking of which, before we end that, the story was done by Geoff Johns. Geoff Johns is a very popular writer. When I got the recommendation, when I said I wanted to read Blackest Night, I got a lot of recommendations for Geoff Johns stuff, like all over the place. He did a lot of Green Lanterns. He did most of the Green Lantern stuff up until this point and beyond. And he did some of the Flash stuff, so he did like Flash Rebirth, which was when Barry Allen came back to life. So yep. And going into the art section, art was done by Ivan Reis. It's R-E-I-S. I might be saying it wrong. And Auclair Albert. The first name's O-C-L-A-I-R. I assume it's Auclair, but it could be different.
I like that you now spell it out before I even
feel,
get a chance.
I feel bad, because my name's hard to pronounce. I feel bad.
If we're mispronouncing your name, contact us. Let us know.
Yeah, no,
also,
really.
let us know that you're listening. It'd be really cool.
I should just...
Although if they contact an email, that would be funny, because then they'd write it out again. It's this. And then it's like, oh.
I still don't know how to say it.
Yeah.
I should mispronounce Geoff Johns' names. Hopefully he'll email me and be like, hey, you pronounced it wrong. I'll be like, oh, well, while I have you, you're awesome. I love the book.
Geoff Johns is...
But yes. So art.
Yes.
I liked it a lot. It was good. I liked it. There's a lot of 1-page and 2-page splashes that are just beautiful. Like, great big pieces of art. They're great. Like, Green Lantern shows Flash all the people who died with his Green Lantern ring. There's the overarching shot of all the dead people in space, and the Green Lanterns being like, whoa, what's up? There's so many shots of just so much stuff, and it's great. I like the art a lot.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of detail in the art on this one that stays consistent through the whole way through. Like, I'm trying to think of the best way to say it. This is going to sound funny based on the entire concept of this book, but the lighting is really good. Like, you've got a lot of, like, when the Black Lanterns, there's a lot of shadows and darkness. When the Green Lantern's there, of course, he kind of glows green anyway, but, like, the idea, when you have the Green Lantern and Flash are hanging around a lot, and it's very green and very red, which always looks cool. And when you see there's some other characters later on that different colors that are associated. I'm trying not to spoil anything there, but there's like a lot of really vibrant colors. Oh, like that one. I know, again, I'm pointing at something that no one else can see, but that one, the Guardians are discussing the War of Light, and there's just
splashes of color everywhere. It's cool, because, like, you get, like, you get Hal and Flash talking a lot, and they, in general, just glow. But their scenes are brighter, but, like, like Hawkman, we were talking about Hawkman was having an argument with Adam earlier about like seeing his girlfriend who killed elongated man's wife, and like the whole scene is very dark and shadowy, and his whole house is dark, and there's the shadows on his faces, and it's a very emotional talk, and
which
then
is why they die.
But yeah, so like it mattering on the scene and what's going on, some things are very like as soon as somebody who's bad shows up with Green Lantern and the Flash, John Jones shows up, with a Black Lantern ring, everything turns much darker. What was once before very bright is now much darker. So it's cool. It's interesting. I like it a lot.
Yeah. The art wasn't offensive. It wasn't distracting. The text was a decent size. Everything was on par. There was nothing that I can specifically go, I really liked that art inclusion, or I really liked the way that they detailed this. Everything was very well detailed and everything, but it was all very, I guess, par for the course and what you should expect rather than what is exemplary. I mean, the only real, there wasn't many, like, little hidden detail-y Easter egg stuff like that, at least that I saw. With the exception of the rogues, dragging in a keg for a party, which was kind of funny.
The names on the gravestones, like you could say like those. But I mean, yet again, it's something that I don't notice because I don't know the names of all these people.
Yeah, it's like, these guys are dead, and if you had been following this, you'd know they're dead. It's, it doesn't have the background detail of Super.
Well, I'm gonna say it's like, it's not a different art style, like where Miss Marvel was very different and distinctive, where you could say, this is Miss Marvel, it's a distinctive art style, and it's different, but still good. I mean, this is a very, like, people are drawn well, and they're drawn like people. There's no over, like, things don't stretch or become elastic because something's happening or stuff like that. Nobody's faces, like, become cartoony or anything like that. It's very all realistic, but it is a very good art style. I can't say I got distracted at any point by it.
Yeah, no.
Where, like, something was so bad where I was like, I don't like that face. Like,
all
the faces were done really well, yeah. The actions are done really well, everybody feels like they're moving, especially, like, the Flash, because he's constantly moving. Like, everybody feels like they're, if they're punching, they feel like they're moving and landing a punch. It's not just, like a...
Yeah, everything's...
somebody like, brah.
Everything's good, just nothing stand out.
I liked it all. I think, like, especially the two-page splashes, like... Dude, I love those. They're great.
I looked a lot at the art on this one.
Yeah, I liked it. I'm just saying it's nothing crazy different. I can't say it's like, I'm gonna bring up a comic that we haven't read yet, but Ghost Rider was incredibly different. Like, it's a very cartoony animated style almost. This is, it's very realistic, but it's still really good. I like it a lot.
See, like, I think what you're trying to say, Brian, is that this is kind of the style you think of when you think of superhero comics.
Yes. This is normal. Or the closest thing to normal that you would think of when you think of comics. Everything's very realistic, everything's very well detailed, and it's what you should expect for a quality product.
Right. See, I think that's the key, though, is that it is quality. It's like flipping through.
Super quality.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm just not saying that there's any pictures or anything like that I'm going to go out, blow up, and hang on my wall, but I enjoyed looking
see,
at
that's
them.
where I disagree with you again.
I'm gonna say all of them. Most of them.
Most of them. Like, that's why I'm saying, like, I get what you're trying to say, but I'm going to say you're wrong for the ending parts that you keep tacking on to those sentences.
It stinks because all of the moments that I'm like, I would definitely put that on my wall are after the spoiler section. So if you want to know what pictures I'd put on my wall, wait until the spoiler section. But there's a lot, I don't know, I like it a lot, cause there's other comics that have similar art styles and I can look at, I feel like we've read them. Like, even like, you could say that technically Infinity Gauntlet kind of had the same style where it was just very realistic, it wasn't crazy. This had more quality to it. I could probably point out Infinity Gauntlet every once in a while when I thought, like, that arm doesn't look like it should be, like, that arm looks like it might be dislocated because of the way that it was drawn, or maybe that face isn't 100%, like, that's a little exaggerated. Like, this is,
this is spot on.
I cannot point out a point in this where
yeah.
At any point, it's so cool. I love it. I'm gonna say that 20 million times. I love the art. I love
the art in this one, yeah. It's very shiny, too.
Yes.
Like, things that look like Firestorm's head. I know that's a weird thing to randomly point out.
Well,
This-
apparently DC has a lot of glowy heroes.
Well, yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
but it's like, I know, we're talking about, though, this is a comic where we're discussing a War of Light, and I'm like, hey, you know who has a great, shiny-looking head in the War of Light? Firestorm. I know he's not in the, okay, but just, his head looks like it's on fire, which is what you want.
Yeah.
So, I greatly, yeah. There's lights, like I said, I'm gonna go back, I know I said this at the beginning, the light sources are really well done in the art one, on this one.
Yeah. You know, I like it a lot. Yep.
Alright.
I'm
Do
trying
we want
to
to head
avoid
into
saying I love it
spoilers?
No, you can say it.
again. I love the art.
There we go.
There we go.
Okay.
Alright.
Should
Okay.
probably, yeah.
Spoilers.
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 Spoiler.
Vroom vroom spoilers.
Spoilers.
Spoilers, your princess is in another castle.
Oh, no.
That's the worst scenario to be in. Because
Then you gotta go to hold in the castle.
they're not located close to one another usually.
Yeah, and then
I
that
know,
one,
there's
your
whole
princess
kingdoms,
is in another
right?
one.
Could be
Ugh.
days in
Honestly,
between kingdoms.
Yeah.
It's
Turtles
the worst.
everywhere.
Turtles
Just
everywhere.
every step.
Yeah.
Only 2 dimensions.
Yeah. So it's even further away, probably.
Oh God, yeah. Because then,
Like
Well,
area
3,
squared
because
area.
time's a dimension.
so then it's right. Well, so never mind. So then time.
Well, no, we exist in a 4-dimensional reality. We're not going to go down that road.
Well,
Not gonna go down that road. Well, they exist in a 3-dimensional because time exists for them.
Yeah, that's
Right.
what
They
I
have a
said.
timer.
Yeah, that's why I questioned it.
Oh, okay. I was
right,
like, wait.
I went, no, it's a 3-dimensional. There's an X plane, a Y plane, and a time plane.
So, basically, after the Indigo rings are like, you gotta combine the powers and stuff, they, like, Hal tracks, like, I guess his ring, like, tracks stuff and says, like, hey, go this way. Turn left at Apple Street. So he uses his ring and finds the Black Lantern. Well, I guess he sends the lanterns after it, cause they go to Sector 666, which is where I think Atrocious was buried.
No, it was Anti-Monitor.
Anti-Monitor, sorry. Different guy. So, a bad guy was buried, and that's apparently where the, lantern was, but then it isn't, and it turns out it's in Coast City, which was, earlier, said to be the place where basically they bury all the heroes, and there was a bad tragedy with a lot of death happening there
the
before.
entire city basically got destroyed. And
Yeah, and then rebuilt. So the Black Lantern shows up there again, and apparently the Guardians knew all along, and they were trying to keep it a secret, but whatever. So there's a big battle, and then, Necron is the main, well, Black Hand up to this point was the main villain, like he was the guy doing all the ring stuff, and then it turns out that Necron was controlling Black Hand, and so on and so forth. Necron then is like, well, all of you came back to the life, because Green Arrow, Wonder Woman, Superman, Flash, Hal Jordan, obviously, I think Superboy was in that?
Superboy-
Most of the DC
Superboy-
universe had
there was,
died.
had
and come
died
back.
and come back, and he basically said, well, you died, so you're still within my domain, I'm going to take you. So he takes most of them, Flash takes Hal Jordan and jumps like 2 seconds into the future, just enough for the ring that's following them to lose track of them.
which is cool.
Which was cool. I love that he did that. That was awesome.
Yeah.
Time
Travel done right.
Yeah.
In small increments.
I mean, he went forward in time, which
Yes.
is, you can do that. You're allowed to do that.
We're doing it right now. Time travel!
Just slowly at the right time.
And if you're listening to this, you're listening to the past!
In the future. But it's
My
your
future.
present. Yeah, sorry, our future, your present, we're your past.
Yes.
Time
100%.
paradoxes.
But yeah, so they don't get captured by the rings, but everybody else does, so that kind of stinks. There's still the people who are alive, so like, Wally West and Kid Flash, because obviously they can just outrun shit.
Yeah.
And a couple other people are still alive. The rest of the lanterns get there, so blue, green, whatever.
Red.
All red, orange, Roy's you biv. They all get there.
That's just,
Rainbow's there, and they're like, okay, so we gotta all blast at the same time. I think they blast at the same time, and then it doesn't do anything.
yeah.
So they're like, well, that stinks. So then the Guardian comes in, one of the Guardians comes in, and is like, yo, Hal Jordan, your ring lets me copy things.
You can
God
you can,
mod.
Oh, yeah, you can duplicate or you can deputize.
You can deputize rings for half an hour or whatever, or for a
24
day,
days,
24 hours. So he copies Hal Jordan's ring and becomes a Green Lantern, and then he copies every other ring and sends them off, which is awesome and the best part of this book because Wonder Woman gets Violet because she loves.
And it breaks the black ring that had
breaks the
taken her.
black ring that she had on. Flash gets blue for Hope.
Mm-hmm.
I think Adam gets
Adam gets
compassion.
compassion.
He gets the indigo. Oh god.
Lex Luthor.
Lex Luthor gets orange greed, which is all. Speaking of which, the Orange Lantern rings are the best thing ever in this whole book.
That was probably my favorite part of this whole book.
Well, I love that.
Lex Luthor getting the orange power ring.
Well,
and
just
fighting with Larfleeze the whole time.
Oh yeah, overall, like Larfleeze is the only Orange Lantern because the Orange Lanterns would kill each other apparently for
the orange
rings,
light, yeah, which is
awesome. So Larfleeze is the only one, and he constantly makes like buddies out of his power ring power. Like he has like people, like but they're Orange Lantern power. It's great. But basically, Lex Luthor gets the power ring and is greedy. Scarecrow gets fear,
which was awesome.
which is also awesome. I'm missing a color. No, we got
Mira gets rage.
Mira gets rage
because
There we
she's
go.
just had enough.
Yeah.
And it's like
I'm tired of these MFing black rings.
Yeah.
My Earth? I don't know.
I was trying to think of how to end that.
In my MFing ocean.
Pretty much.
No, it is your ocean.
Yeah. So fun. Oh, I will throw this in there. I'm totally backtracking a bit. Aquaman as a zombie controlled zombie sea life,
I know.
which I
it was
think
so
was
cool.
really cool.
They bought it for like 10 seconds and then it was gone.
Yeah. So just again,
You'd think you'd be able to
Kinda
do
fun.
that in Coast City, but
no. Oh, whoa. There's land. That's the fish's one weakness. This is like grade 1 science. Fish can't land swim.
flying fish.
Oh, I forgot the one big point, which was Batman was never brought back to life until when they made the like Superman and all those guys Black Lanterns, and then they brought Superman back so it jogged emotions in those people, so then they became Black Lanterns. It was really weird.
Oh yeah, because they were still alive, at least is how I read into it, Necron couldn't. They were dead, and it's described in the book that Necron, the reason that the heroes keep coming back to life in comics, basically, was Necron stops them from fully dying.
Yeah.
And allows
like their
them,
souls
their
from
souls
dying.
from fully dying, and that's why he's able to have some of them come back because he's puppet mastering the whole thing, which was cool. I like that a lot. But because they're technically alive now, they're not corpses. He had to elicit an incredibly strong emotional response for the Black Rings to be able to find them and latch onto them. And
So
so
he brought back Batman.
he brought back Batman, which apparently made everyone like, yeah, Batman! And
Yeah.
then, oh, yeah, we're zombies.
Yep. Basically,
that's
that
my
was
summary.
Yeah,
With-
that's
Yeah. It was just weird that like Batman was like the first thing he grabbed and then he waited until the last minute. It was like, meh, Batman. Just kind of annoying that Batman's still somehow the star while being dead of this comic book. Just so weird. It's like the main plot point is Batman came back.
Yeah.
It's so weird. But
Then
yeah,
you didn't-
okay. Just to mention, because I had skipped that. So we were at all the lanterns.
Trying to stop
All the lanterns get duplicated. They try to stop.
Necron.
They like explode they basically unearth light, the embodiment of light, where Necron's like the embodiment of the darkness. Basically Sinestro's like, no, I'm gonna do it. So Sinestro flies in and like fuses with the light being, which creates an awesome, I love his like white lantern outfit.
Yeah.
He becomes a White Lantern, starts fighting with Necron, and Necron's like, no! And splits them. And then,
Yeah, so Necron's trying to kill the whole point of this book is Necron is like,
trying to snuff out all light.
yeah, I'm pissed that light came into this universe. I'm gonna kill it. I'm gonna kill light.
Yeah, which
And-
is the embodiment of light would kill everything, and then all the lanterns wouldn't be whatever and done.
yeah.
Sinestro gets knocked out, and then Hal Jordan's like, Hal Jordan goes through this like great monologue where he's like, well, you didn't bring us back to life. We all chose to be alive again. So he embodies the White Lantern, but also spreads it amongst all the other people who had died and then lived again. So like Superman, Wonder Woman, so on and so forth. All now become White Lantern rings and then beat the crud out of Necron. the end.
Oh, now some of them are alive again.
It was weird because like it was like
Aquaman's back.
It was weird because I guess they were in like a limbo for real quick because like Light and Dark had just exploded. So everybody came back, like, cause, you know, they were Black Lantern rings, so I assumed the Black Lantern rings exploded and now they were living again, but then, like, stuff happens, everybody says, hey, how's it going? And then...
Oh, because they used the White Lantern power to bring back the
the
Anti-Monitor, who apparently was the power source of the Black Lantern power battery.
Yeah. Which is also weird. I don't know too much about,
Anti-Monitor.
Anti-Monitor at all. Yeah. But then, then everybody comes back, and then...
A good chunk of them.
And then Hal Jordan's, like, Flash, you realize these people aren't actually back, and then they don't explain it past that.
Oh, yeah, like, only some people were brought back. There's others...
Well, no, cause, like, you go through, so, after this...
Oh, sorry.
He go through and, like, they basically go through and, like, Mira's recovering because Red Lantern rings, like, take blood or something like that. So Mira and Aquaman hug, and then, Hawkwoman's like, I remember everything, I love you, and then John Jones is like, hey, Superman, how's it going? I like this stuff, and then, you know, like, all these people are hanging around and doing stuff, and then, like, Captain Boomerang and Reverse Flash are there, and Flash, like, breaks them up from a fight, and then, like, literally he comes back, and Hal Jordan comes to Flash, after everything happens, and all this stuff, and everybody's reunited, and he's like, Barry, they're not here. And he's like, why? And that was about it.
It's a good question.
Yeah.
Oh, also, Deadman is no longer Deadman's no longer dead, which means he's now a live man, I assume.
Yeah, but for some odd reason, Hal says they're not there, and like they're all in this like white light and stuff, and it's really weird, and they don't explain it, and then all of a sudden everybody's dead again.
Well, I think he was looking for Elongated Man and Sue, I think. At least that's what I thought. Because it's only some of them came back.
I took it as none of them, like, I assumed that it was just, like, the aftermath of Light and Death coming together, that some of the people still kind of lingered. That was what my, like, you know, like, it was just, like, that, like, quaky phase between that, because, like, people that were said to be dead forever were alive again, and, yeah, and then for some odd reason, yeah, Hal just tells Barry they're not here. And then why, and then it goes to nothing again. It literally goes to them reuniting people again. I don't know.
I guess this is one of those. I guess we'd have to read. What is there? There's a continuation of the storyline, I think, right?
Yes.
Like, okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, at the end, it goes and talks about, because it's the Green Lantern's like thing, their chant. I forget what it's called. Their oath, there we go, is in Blackest Night and Brightest.
In Brightest Day and Blackest Night. Yeah.
You know, blah, 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 blah.
Those who worship evils might my power. Green Lantern's light.
Words. So, basically, like, that was almost the prophecy. You know, there's more prophecy to it. So then, the Brightest Day comes after, because this was the Blackest Night, so I think there's another storyline.
Yeah. And at the end of the book.
There's a White Lantern, like, in the middle of somewhere. In, I assume, America, because there's cars and stuff. Well,
whoa.
At least.
Wow.
Well, jeez.
Wow, so the rest of the...
Check your first world privilege.
Yeah. At the door.
I don't know. There's a police car, and it looks like a police
so
car.
other places don't have police
Wow.
Police cars that look like ours? No, they're different.
Oh. But aren't we all on the inside? Didn't this book teach you we are all...
Dead.
Yeah.
But I was going to say, I was going to say alive, but, you know, color scheme-wise, that would be white. And I almost said the phrase, we're all white on the inside, and that could be misconstrued. I mean, as in the light of life that is all, you know what, there's no
way out of that.
No,
you suck.
I'll just,
I really wish they went more on that Aquaman doing undead fish people, because, like, there's apparently an alternate cover for one of the Blackest Nights. And it's Aquaman leading a bunch of undead fish, and it's pretty kick-ass. Just saying. But yeah. No, I liked the book overall. Like I said, I think I would've understood it and gotten it a bit better if I had known all these characters throughout, but I could still read it without
I feel like that's our problem with a lot of the event comics that
Yeah.
that we do.
It's
Is
like,
We
I
should
don't
probably get
understand.
regular comics.
Yeah, I know. Well, the events are always the ones that everybody are like, this is great. Like, funny enough, Geoff Johns, everybody's been saying read Green Lantern, so if we ever go to Green Lantern, we might be reading more Geoff Johns.
Oh, okay.
Huh.
So,
I liked him. That was good.
He's good. He's a good writer. I liked the story. Like I said, it didn't feel like like Infinity Gauntlet felt like, oh, things are getting better. You know, like things are escalating, and like you could feel it, I guess, in Infinity Gauntlet. But in this, I couldn't really feel it. It just felt like natural escalation to an ends.
Yeah, it also, again, since you brought up Infinity Gauntlet, my problem with Infinity Gauntlet is it got too big. It's like there were planets and galaxies being thrown around. This, while it took up all of the universe, and it became life,
life itself.
Yeah, basically, it didn't feel as out of proportion.
Yeah,
as it could have.
I can understand that.
So
yeah, like the gods didn't get invited to this fight or
yeah,
something
like the
that.
biggest entities in this was Necron, who was like some deathy puppet master thing, and then the light entity, which was very passive and
yeah, it didn't do much at all, other than when other people took over it. But
yeah,
that was.
Which I guess you could read into that and be like, you have to choose your own path in life.
Yeah.
Life will not. Yeah, I'm reading way too much into that. Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah.
That page. Yes.
I was gonna say, this is one of the ones that I would have loved as a poster, was all of the Lanterns, saying their oaths, and they're,
I'll
putting
give
in
you
their
that.
power rings, which is great. It's a great photo, first off. It's a great picture. Like, it's drawn well. And then off in the corners, Larry flees, and he's like, meh. Like, he just doesn't do anything. Like, he's so great. Because literally, he doesn't want to do anything, because he's the embodiment of greed. And like, he doesn't even come, because he doesn't come unless they give him a guardian. Like, he's like, no, I want something in return. Like, no, all of the world's in danger? No, I want something. Like, I want this thing. Like, Lex Luthor goes over with rage, and he tries collecting all the rings from people. Like, it's crazy. It's so cool. I almost kind of wish Lex had collected, like, all of the rings. It would have been awesome. But I guess, can you not power them? I don't know. But it was still cool.
I don't know. Huh.
Yeah, I mean, you'd have to have those traits. I guess he could probably get them, but then they'd be like little trinkets, which I guess is all he'd want anyway. So
I feel like he could use rage at the same time.
Yeah, probably. But I mean, like, I feel like hope and fear, like, I feel like a couple of them kind of almost contradict. It's hard to be compassionate and greedy.
Like, I feel like he could have greed and courage and rage, and then that's about it. But I mean, 3 power rings on one person would probably be pretty ridiculous.
yeah, there's probably some sort of rule. I think you're supposed to be a champion of that emotion.
Yeah. I felt like you couldn't just get the ring. Like, you couldn't.
Can I be like a champion of chocolate bars and get a ring for that?
No, because if confusion's not an emotion, chocolate can't be an emotion. We've already got ground rules need to be followed.
That sucks.
But I mean,
I need a chocolate lantern power battery.
I had known about Green Lantern's oath, because it's the most popular, in Blackest Night. In brightest day and Blackest Night, no evil shall escape my light. Let those who worship evil's might beware my powers, Green Lantern's light. But I love hearing all of the other ones, which, speaking of which, Larfleeze, I guess, doesn't have one. They just kind of stick his nose into his power lantern and hope for the best. But, like, I love, like, Sinestro, if I know anything about Green Lanterns, which I don't, I think Sinestro was, like, the first different color that was really announced.
Yeah.
And it's funny because his start in Blackest Day and Brightest Night, so it's the opposite of the greens, which is, I thought was funny. And then everybody else's is pretty, like, they go kind of by the same way, because, like, blue is in Fearful Day and Raging Night. So it's, I don't know, it was cool. And then, for some odd reason, the Indigos are just some other language. I have no idea.
Yeah,
but yeah, no, I liked seeing all the oaths. I'd never actually had a chance to see all of them.
Yeah, if we were talking about artwork to put on the walls, it's definitely that 2-page splash. The one of Necron standing there when he's first revealed is pretty cool too.
Yeah. I also like, another cool one where they're blasting people with rings. Look at all this. I feel like they had a 2-page, the Batman one's pretty cool, although it's just really cool, actually.
It's just straight up cool.
It's actually really
There's a
cool.
lot.
Speaking of which,
straight up cool.
the ending for Batman. Apparently that wasn't Batman.
Oh yeah, like that was the big thing. Was like it's
Yeah.
it's not Batman. It's
Oh yeah, so he might still be in
Alive or somewhere.
something.
Yeah. My second favorite, actually my first favorite, probably is the deputized rings. So you've got like Flash and Mira and all these other guys coming to the battle. It's so cool. Also, Adam gets apparently with the Indigo Power Ring, you get really cool tribal stuff. Everybody
and
else
lose
just changes.
clothes.
Everybody just changes colors, but you get really cool tribal stuff and tattoos and things. Like I like Flash's blue suit, which is really cool, and Mira in all red. It was they're really cool. Wonder Woman and all the violet.
I think the only problem that I have with this book, and this is a weird issue, is that does no one in the DC universe believe in cremation? Because I feel like that would have stopped a good chunk of this.
Well, I feel like that wouldn't have stopped anything. Because, I mean, like, the bodies get blasted to bits and still
Get reanimated.
return. I mean,
Maybe, I don't know.
I feel like that... I mean, I feel like it's weird that... Well, I guess Bruce Wayne makes enough money to get buried in a cemetery. I feel like he would want to get... I feel like Bruce Wayne's the type of guy who has in his will how to, like, get rid of his body.
Yeah, no,
Like-
I think they mentioned that.
Like, I'm fairly
yeah.
certain, like, Alfred has, like, step-by-step instructions on how to
All right, Alfred.
add
you're-
kryptonite chunks to my brains just in case.
Yep.
You're going to send it into the sun. Make sure that the rocket is guarded by the green light. Like, I think he'd have, like, a full-on, like, no, this is not... No.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
Batman ain't got time for that.
Basically.
But
yeah, they basically were like, oh, he wasn't powerful enough, he couldn't have been Bruce Wayne, so, I don't know. It was weird. I don't know how you get out of shot by laser beams, but...
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I will say the one thing, that I definitely liked, and I touched on it briefly, was the idea that kind of like, was the way that they keep bringing heroes back from death was answered through this book, which I thought was cool, and that's that there's entities keeping their souls from truly dying. So while they still have to fight their way out of, like, I think Wonder Woman fought out of Hades or something,
Yeah.
and
Well, Wonder Woman makes 110% sense. I'm just saying, because she's all Greek mythology. And
Right.
People have technically walked and fought their ways out of the underworld. She makes sense. I can understand that in the mythology that she lives in.
yeah, oh yeah, which is fine. I was just using, I remembered
Yeah.
her as an example.
I know, like, Green Lantern, like, brought back by, like, Parallax somehow.
Yeah.
Because that was the reason Sinestro was so mad at him and took the white, initially, because he was like, you got to form with Parallax, screw you, I'm gonna form with the white thing, light, that stuff. So yeah, Parallax was pretty mad about that, apparently. But yeah, so that apparently Parallax just bought Hal Jordan back, and then they beat Parallax, and Hal Jordan was back.
Which, if that is,
Yeah.
I don't know that storyline at all, but if that's how it went down, that was pretty bad planning on
That was,
Parallax's
I was
part.
gonna say, that was what I read, and what I'm remembering I read, because I'm obviously not reading it 100% right now. But yeah, so that was, I forget what Flash's excuse was, I forget. Superman. I don't, and Superboy.
Yeah, Superman, just, if he dies, they lose comic sales.
I forget what Green Arrow was. Cause Green Arrow's a person, he's not
Yeah, I
he's
feel
like a Batman.
He's not important enough to reanimate. Why does
It's
that
weird.
happen?
Like, I can see, like Bruce Wayne didn't technically die, so I would assume that he wouldn't work in this scenario. Like, if this scenario didn't take place because Bruce Wayne died, quote unquote, I feel like they would be like Bruce Wayne would be like, I came back because of I'm awesome. And then, like, the Black Power Rings would be like, you all died, except for you, Bruce. And everybody would be
Or
like, you
money.
lied. You didn't actually die. Like, that was, like, and they'd have to explain, and then they'd be emotional again, and then they get Black Power Rings. But, you know, I don't know what Oliver Queen did to Green Arrow, Oliver Queen. I don't know what he did to die and then come back. He has money, but I feel like he doesn't have Bruce Wayne money.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
They explained it in the book, but I forget what it was. So yeah, it was cool that, yeah, it did kind of explain, although I have a feeling that they're not gonna stop reanimating
Yeah,
dead heroes.
probably. But it's not, it's the same thing, like, I liked that part of Age of Ultron where it was like, well, this is why we're not going to time travel anymore for this reason. And I'm like, well, there you go.
Except they will time travel.
They will, yeah, sure.
It'll happen.
I'm
Fantastic Four, you can't keep them away. Doctor Doom has a time travel
platform.
Platform.
At least one. So
at
like,
least one. And if he's smart enough, which he is, he probably made two.
Huh. Maybe that's the alternate storyline for Age of Ultron. Is it Doctor Doom just has another one?
That'd be fun.
That would be fun.
I want that book. Somebody write that. Where Doctor Doom takes over because everybody else left and then leads us all to victory. Like he's supposed to do.
I mean, I figure that Doctor Doom died in Age of Ultron. Because
Yeah.
he didn't appear at all. Because normally
he shows up when he's uninvited.
According to my knowledge of Doctor Doom, which is one book, and then his platform in a second book, he shows up when he wants to, and I feel like he would have shown up if he was alive.
Or he was already planning because he knew everybody else was going to leave so he could take over. Done.
He knew this was going to happen, that the space-time continuum was going to be broken, and then he knew that the heroes would never go back in time, so he could travel through time freely without anybody else bothering.
And then go back to the Infinity Crisis.
Oh.
That's a different story. Infinity Gauntlet?
Or Infinity Gauntlet, yes.
Infinite Crisis is
DC.
DC,
Sorry.
not Marvel.
Ouch.
He goes through the companies.
Well, I mean, that's basically all I had to say. It was a really good book. I enjoyed Blackest Night a lot. Although I didn't recognize most of the names, I didn't know most of the people in it, and I had to look up some stuff. It was an enjoyable book. I would say if you wanted to and you were really looking into reading all sorts of books, maybe read some of the Green Lantern books before this or some other books before it. You know, like I know like Green Lantern and Flash both have a rebirth is the name of the title of their books that go over their bringing back ings of. So, yeah, do that. Yeah. What are the rating? 2 thumbs up?
Oh, are we doing thumbs again?
2 thumbs up for me.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, see, now I'm putting, okay, it's doing thumbs up. I'm gonna do, for doing thumbs up, I will put it this way. I greatly enjoyed this book. It was another one of those big events where, you know, usually the problem is it gets too big in scale. This one kept its scale despite being grand and large. It stayed relatable, which was appreciated. And I greatly enjoyed seeing all the different people come together. The deputized power rings was really fun. Like Becca said, probably knowing a little bit more, especially the Flash and Green Lantern rebirths, probably would help. But all in all, on its own, it was a good, if nothing else, it was a good zombie horror, it was a good horror tale, which you don't get a lot of good horror tales from a, you know, superhero book. So, thumbs at least 1 and probably almost 2. I liked it.
Yeah. And, as much as I hate to agree, I really like this book too.
Gas.
Yeah.
That's twice.
Yeah, I know, I'm not liking this. We have to find something that I hate again so that we can continue with the old pattern. Change is bad.
Well, next week, although critically acclaimed as a very good book, we'll be reading Watchmen, which I have a feeling is deep and has thought-provoking storyline.
I won't like it.
Brian will probably won't like it. But we will be reading Watchmen. I think we're gonna try announcing what books we're reading so you guys can possibly read ahead. You know, pick up the book, figure out what it is. So Watchmen will be our next one. It's a Vertigo title.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Yep.
I like that I'm learning about this at the same time as the audience, except bringing time into this again. It's also their past.
Paul learned about it.
I learned it first. I knew it first, even though simultaneous. Oh,
the third person to know.
Time travel.
But yeah, no, I really liked it. Next book is Watchmen. And, if you need to find Bill the accountant, so that he can do your taxes, you can use the series of tubes.
No, I'm not your accountant. None of us are. Don't tell them that we're an accountant.
No, none of us
It's
are
tax
accountants.
season. You say this in like May. You do not say this.
I'm not an accountant in any way.
No,
None of us are.
You
numbers.
can find 3 losers that talk about comics, and we will tell you about comics. We will not tell you about taxes.
Numbers scare me. Don't.
Got it. Well, then you can find 3 losers using the series of tubes to find us at our Facebook page at As Someone Who Doesn't Read Comics. You can follow us on Twitter at I Don't Read Comics, where we really need to be more active. And then if you have any questions, comments, concerns, problems, complaints, or suggestions, you can go ahead and send them to us at idon'treadcomics@gmail.com.
Yeah, so send any suggestions. Like if you want us to read more Geoff Johns, or if you want us to read about Flash, or you really don't like us reading Watchmen, let us know. Although that is probably going to happen.
Yeah.
Or if you have a spoiler that's not a spoiler.
Yeah, I know. If you want to give Brian spoiler ideas, that's great too.
He runs out of them really
Hey,
quick.
Yeah,
hey.
No?
Huh?
Thank you guys for listening.
One more reminder, next week is Watchmen, so...
Yep, thanks for listening.
Your one more reminder was a reminder we did 5 times already.
I know.
And as always, the book was better.